So the first recipe we're gonna make is my favorite, energy bites. 2 ingredients is all that's required. I use a couple of more ingredients just to kind of take the flavor to the next level. But the 2 ingredients that you really need to have are dates and any type of tree nut or even peanuts, even seeds could work. So today I have dates and raw, unroasted, unsalted almonds. So just really plain almonds and dates. But you could do any dried fruit. So you could use raisins, you could use dried apricots, you could use cranberries, dried blueberries, dried cherries, whatever you might have. Or you could do a combination of whatever you have in your pantry already if you don't want to go out and buy dates if you don't have them. So 1 cup of dates, 1 cup of almonds in this case, but you could use peanuts or walnuts, sunflower seeds, again, whatever you have on hand. I am using unsalted raw almonds. You could do unsalted roasted almonds or any type of, again, tree nut that we talked about. But I would do unsalted. We are gonna add a smidge of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon for this recipe, which isn't a whole lot. I guarantee you if you use anything that's salted, it would just be saltier instead of a sweeter energy bite. So 1 cup of dates, 1 cup of almonds. I'm going to use half a teaspoon of vanilla extract and a dash of salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon or less. And the vanilla and the salt are totally optional. So we're going to start with the almonds. And what you want to do is put them in a food processor or a blender, and you're just going to pulse them for about 30 seconds until they kind of turn into a sandy texture, and I'll show you what that looks like. So the texture is pretty finely ground. There's still some larger pieces. If this is a snack you're making for yourself or just for adults, it's okay if some pieces stay larger than others. If this is a snack you're gonna give to kids, especially 4 and under, maybe your younger siblings or nieces, nephews, your own kids, you'll definitely wanna make sure that the larger pieces are more finely ground. But we've pulsed our almonds, so now we're gonna add the dates. And you're gonna kind of repeat the same process. So this is where you could also add the vanilla or the salt, or you could just leave them as is. And I'm just gonna show you what the 2 ingredients on their own look like. It. So when this is ground up and combined, it still looks pretty dry. And it's gonna look sandy, but you'll notice that once you start to kind of gather some of the dough, if you will, together, it'll start to hold its shape pretty well. It's pretty pliable and soft, kind of like Play-Doh. So you'll just form this into rounds. You can use a spoon if you wanted, or you can just do like a cookie scoop, or just, you know, freestyle your own energy bites. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add the little bit of extra flavor, so about 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a dash of salt. I've made this recipe before with just the 2 ingredients, and it's delicious. But I've also recently made it with the vanilla and the salt, and it just takes the flavor profile over the top, and it's so good. So if you have those ingredients on hand, I'd encourage you to use them in this recipe. So you add those in, pulse them together. And then you'll just form this into energy bites, little rounds. This is a pretty small one, but you'll just put this on a parchment-lined cookie sheet. You can refrigerate it or just eat it as is. And I like to store them in the refrigerator or the freezer to snack on throughout the week. Thanks so much for watching this recipe. The next recipe we're gonna make today is called Oatmeal Rounds. So another really quick, simple recipe with ingredients you probably already have in your pantry. So this recipe starts with 1.5 cups of oatmeal. You can use instant oatmeal, quick cook oatmeal. I have old-fashioned oats in here right now. They'll all work pretty well. The difference really is gonna be maybe texture and the size of the oatmeal in the actual snack itself. So whatever you have will work. So in here I have 1.5 cups of oatmeal, or oats, and 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter. You can use sunflower seed butter, almond butter, cashew butter. You can use like the really inexpensive stuff, or you can do the fresh ground, whatever. It's a very adaptable recipe. So peanut butter and oats are in the bowl. I'm also gonna add 1/3 cup of maple syrup, but you could do pancake syrup. You can do sugar-free pancake syrup. You could do honey. You could even do a mashed banana. This is gonna add some moisture and some sweetness. So you could also do applesauce if you'd like. So that goes in the bowl, along with some fun mix-ins. So right now I have some mini chocolate chips, but you could do chopped walnuts or chopped pecans. You could do coconut flakes, any kind of dried fruit that's small, so like raisins or dried cranberries would work really well here as well. But you put it all in the bowl and then you mix it. So you're gonna wanna mix all of your ingredients really well. You wanna make sure that the oats are evenly coated in the maple syrup or the pancake syrup or whatever sweetener you used, along with the peanut butter and the mix-ins. You wanna make sure that they're very well incorporated. The next thing we're gonna do once this is well mixed is put it in the refrigerator to cool for about 30 minutes. This will make it far easier to work with the batter or the dough so that you can form it into rounds for the snack. So the dough has chilled in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes now, and all that's left to do is to scoop out portions of the dough onto parchment paper, and then you'll just form each of the portions out into rounds, store it in the refrigerator, and you can just snack on them anytime you have a chance. Thanks so much for following along for this recipe. Hi guys, so we're going to make today's third recipe with items from your pantry. So I went to the grocery store today and there were no jelly options in the peanut butter and jelly aisle. So I thought, let's make it. The great thing about making your own jelly or preserve or jam is that you get total control over what goes in it. So normally, jelly, jams, preserves have quite a bit of added sugar in it. That's just what helps make jelly jelly. It's food science, I won't get into it. But because we're gonna be using chia seeds today, we'll be able to cut out some of the sugar and add some nutrient benefits from chia seeds. So we're gonna start with putting 1 15-ounce can of canned peaches and light syrup into a pot on the stove. Once the peaches are warmed through in the saucepan, you'll see all those bubbles. That's a pretty good sign that things are heating up in there. You're just gonna take a potato masher and mash the peaches. So now that the peaches are bubbling and mashed, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, a little bit of cinnamon or ginger if you want, so about 1/4 teaspoon to a teaspoon, a tablespoon of honey, and 1/2 of a lemon juice. So once all the ingredients are mixed up and well combined, just turn off the stove and let it sit for 5 minutes. This will allow all the moisture from the peaches to absorb into the chia seeds and help create that jelly texture. After 5 minutes, the jelly is ready. It'll cool, and as it cools, it'll continue to thicken, so keep that in mind. And you can put it on top of yogurt, toast, crackers. You can enjoy it as a snack or part of your meal. Cheers, and thanks for following this recipe. Thanks for following along today's cooking adventures. For today's recipes, you can find them at rexports.tamucc.edu/nutrition. Can't wait to see what you cook.